Hey YouTube, Bob here with part 2 of the NES Player's Guides. And as you can see, the Legend of Zelda Tips and Tactics got the overwhelming majority of the vote in the survey that I linked in the first video for NES Player's Guides. But you know what? There's only two here, so even though Zelda won it, we'll actually take a look at both of them in this video. But since Zelda was the one that received the most votes, that's the one that we'll take a look at first. So we'll move Mario to the side for a little bit and take a look at Legend of Zelda Tips and Tactics. Has a similar kind of aesthetic as the original Legend of Zelda game as released in the United States. Has kind of a gold sheen to it. And something that I find interesting is that they lifted the entire title from the instruction booklet. It even includes instruction booklet right here. Even though this is not the instruction booklet, this is the player's guide for the game. So if we turn it over, not too much on the back, but this is actually kind of cool. It's the back of the guide. It's kind of Link marching off. This image of him has been lifted, I think, from a picture of him kind of going off into the sunset. So, kind of cool. But this was published by Nintendo of America, but printed in Japan. And this guide, along with How to Win at Super Mario Brothers, I think these were best sellers in Japan. As a matter of fact, How to Win at Super Mario Brothers actually does say that, #1 bestseller. And I think a lot of the text was actually translated directly from the Japanese, maybe by some localizers at Nintendo of America. Because as we go through some of the text here, we might find a little bit of charm in the way that some things were translated. It's not quite how maybe we would have said it in North American, United States English, but it gets the point across nonetheless. So let's take a look at the inside of the Legend of Zelda Tips and Tactics. So let's start the Legend of Zelda. Kind of gives you kind of the same information that you would get from the instruction booklet about how to start the game and how to create your save file. Creating your own Link character is step 1 here. And then on the right hand side here it says the Hyrule Fantasy, which is actually, if you translate Zelda no Densetsu, I believe the no Densetsu part of that in Japanese actually has to do with fantasy or adventure or something like that. So they translated that from the Japanese. But you can take a look and see here what's in the table of contents. What is the Legend of Zelda? Link and his colleagues, and then it goes through the treasures and the enemies, and then we get into the maps. So if we take a look at the next page here. Speaking of maps, this is always really cool. This was also included in the instruction manual. I'm not sure if this is just art or if they actually created this clay-looking type of map of the overworld of The Legend of Zelda, but I have always loved this. So it says, the world of long ago and far away exists. In a small country in the region of Hyrule, there existed a golden triangle known as Triforce, which possessed mysterious powers. One day, the Triforce of Power was stolen by Ganon, the evil one, who was conspiring to rule the world with darkness and terror. Princess Zelda, afraid of the evil ruler, divided the remaining Triforce of Wisdom into 8 pieces and hid them in various places. In the meantime, she helped her nurse, Impa, escape in order to find a brave hero to overthrow Ganon. 2 exclamation points. Ganon learned of this scheme and became angry. He captured the princess and sent pursuers after Impa. Escape, Impa! 2 exclamation points. Ganon's pursuers are behind you. Just 1 exclamation point. Impa tried desperately to escape from Ganon's pursuers, but at last she couldn't run away anymore and was surrounded by her pursuers. Was this the end of Impa? Suddenly, a young man appeared. He skillfully confused the pursuers and saved Impa. This young man's name is Link. Link heard the whole story from Impa and decided to save Princess Zelda. However, Ganon possesses the Triforce of Power. In order to overthrow Ganon, Link must find and assemble all 8 missing pieces of Wisdom to complete the Triforce of Wisdom. So yes, you are Link. And somewhere along the line, I think I read that Shigeru Miyamoto decided to name Link that, because he's kind of a link between you, the player, and the actual character in the game. And I think that's why they allowed you to change the name of the character as you registered your save file. You could choose Link, or you could enter in your own name with a limitation on the characters. And as many people know, if you enter Zelda as your character's name, you get to start with the second quest right away. But we'll talk a little bit more about the second quest once we get towards the end of this guide here. So continuing on, you are the hero, Link. So here we've got a little bit of an overview here about Link. The hero of this game, Link, is a brave youth who must fight against the evil Ganon all alone. Link's adventure develops in both the overworld, a beautiful natural place with woods, lakes, and mountains, and in the underworld, a place much more complex than which lies above. Ganon possesses the Triforce of Power. In order to overthrow Ganon, you have to complete the Triforce of Wisdom with the 8 hidden pieces. These pieces have been hidden somewhere in the underworld mazes. Can Link possibly invade Death Mountain to overthrow Ganon with the help of the completed Triforce of Wisdom? Princess Zelda's fate is unknown. In this game, you are the hero, Link. You must enter the world of Link. Let the fabulous adventure begin. Many enemies stand between you and a successful rescue. Put aside your fears and march on. As you go forward, you will solve many mysteries. You are the one who can conquer the evil Ganon. We got a little screenshot there of Link. So now we go through some, this next section of the guide, I believe, is kind of along the same lines of the information that the original instruction booklet gave in regards to the on-screen things you're going to see, like your life meter and the different items that you can acquire. So we'll just take a look at some of these pages. Looks like they decided to include the actual pixel sprites along with the finalized concept art. And a lot of these things, like I said before, were also included in the instruction manual. The instruction manual for this game was absolutely brilliant. It was very detailed. So going through here, we got the items that would appear in your inventory as you collect them. Looks like they're still calling them rubies here instead of rupees, as that would be changed later on. Still going through here with all the items you would get along the way and store in your inventory. And then we move on to the enemies that you would find in the overworld. Peahats, moblins, armos, levers, guineas, zolas. Oh, zolas, I think that we know now that they're Zoras. They are the water creatures in the Zelda universe. But Zola, instead of Zora, it looks like there's a little bit of a lalation thing going on here, where R's and L's are kind of transposed because the it's either the L sound or it's the L sound. The L sound doesn't exist in Japanese, so a lot of times they substitute it with an R, and sometimes it gets mixed up. So it looks like that's what happened here with Zola instead of Zora. But it's neat to see the names here. So enemies of the underworld, things you would find in the labyrinths and have to fight. And here's the Pole's voice. This is one of the main differences between The Legend of Zelda in Japan versus the United States, because the Famicom on the second controller had a microphone. And as we read the description for the Pole's voice, it says, monsters that have big ears, but their weakness is loud noises. So far the only way you know to attack one is to surprise him by making a loud sound. There will be other opportunities to attack him, but you must use your own imagination. Even if you don't come up with any new ideas to attack him, you can always try the sword. So in Japan, using the Famicom, you were supposed to just yell or scream into the microphone, and then that would make the pole, that would inflict considerable damage on the pole's voice. But in the United States, pretty much the only item you had that had anything to do with sound, really, was your recorder or your magic flute. So that is what you needed to play to incur maximum damage or inflict maximum damage on the pole's voice. So they didn't really allude to that here in this guide. So we are seeing some of the bosses that you would find in the underworld labyrinths. And continue on with some of the obstacles that you'll find in the labyrinths. Some of the finished art here is really neat, and you'll see that it didn't always transfer very well into the game. Like these bubbles, for instance, that's some pretty cool finished concept art there, but this doesn't really give that same give off that same vibe. It looks kind of more like a happy sun to me rather than the skull that the artwork intended. Kind of nice that at least at this point in the guide they don't really spoil what Ganon looks like for you. They have a question mark here. So moving along, what kind of place is the land of Hyrule and how to use the maps effectively? So it looks like they've divided the overworld map into 8 different parts here, starting in the upper right. Part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's see here, 6, 7, 8. And I looked at this guide briefly before I started the video, and it seems like it doesn't take you through the adventure as you would play through it. It actually starts in the certain sections of the map, because you don't start in part 1 of this map here when you start the game. You actually start in part 4 down here, or part 6 down here. So it just takes you through the map, and then you have to figure out, oh, okay, I'm in this part of the map, so this is what I could do here. And that's what this next section of the guide is all about. If we go into part 1, which is the northeastmost part of the map, you see that it's divided into more grids here, or grid spaces, and they each have a letter on them. And the reason for that letter is as you go through and try to accomplish these tasks, it references the letter. For example, in number 1 it says, look for moblins in the hidden cave somewhere in the upper left side of I and in the middle of the right half of J. N is the entrance to the Underworld maze of level 2. So you can actually see screen by screen what it's referencing. So it looks like for the most part, each part of the map is going to get about 3 pages of coverage before you go on to the next part. So this doesn't take you chronologically through the adventure, which is kind of nice because in that respect it doesn't spoil anything for you. Or it lets you spoil as much as you want for yourself. So getting into part 6 here, you get about your 3 pages of coverage. Part 7. Part 7, it's interesting, it doesn't have that little grid there to reference the specific letters there. Getting into part 8. And then we've got, it looks like, a little bit of a map. How to use this page. Tear this page out and use it. No! My perfectionism and OCD is screaming inside. Do not ruin the integrity of this player's guide. Do not tear this out. But let's see what else it has to say. Tear this page out and use it. Alright, that's kind of funny. How to use this page. Tear this page out and use it. Alright, well, let's see what else we have to do. After you tear this page out, cut and separate the seal stickers and the map. When you find the caves and the fountains of the fairies, cut out the individual seals and stick them to the places on the original map. As you play the game, you will have a complete overworld map. Make a perfect overworld map by yourself. So I guess what they mean by that, make a perfect overworld map by yourself, is one where you, and I shudder to say it, take this page out, cut out the map here, and then cut out all these seals that they're calling them. So you can kind of label for yourself where the merchant's caves are, where the little old man's cave is, little old lady's cave, and then where all the heart container pieces, or fairy fountains are, money making game, and then just if you burn a bush and you can find money there, or maybe bomb a wall and find money inside. You can stick these in the spaces on the map where those types of things happen. But believe me, I'm not going to be tearing this page out or cutting it up. So we're just going to fold it back up and move on. But it is pretty cool that it has that fold out like that. So continuing on here. Looks like that's the end of the overworld coverage. And now we take a look at the labyrinths or the underworld. The underworld maze map. Level 1, Eagle. And although this is, super low res, I probably wouldn't have identified this as an eagle if I were just asked by looking at this. But yeah, if you know what it is, you can kind of see what it's supposed to be. So level 1's the eagle. It looks like you get several pages of coverage for each labyrinth. This is the moon. Then the manji. Level 4 is the snake. I guess I can kind of see a cobra in there. Cobra standing up. This one's the lizard. Maybe it's just the head of the lizard. That one you got to use your imagination a little bit more on. And then this one is level 6, the dragon, which yeah, I can see a dragon there. And it looks like they're using the same type of key or legend here with the letters to reference the individual rooms. Which is really nice, especially for a first time through. It's amazing though, coming back to a game like this 30 years ago, all the little tips and secrets that have been stored in your brain, and you come up to a room, you're like, oh yeah, I know I can bomb over here. It just kind of magically appears. Level 7 is the demon. Now, don't even see the map like they have. That's interesting. So they change format a little bit. And then again for level 8, the lion. I think it's pretty difficult. And then level 9, Death Mound. Oh my goodness, they're not going to give us the grid here too. This one has lots of rooms as well. So at last, the final showdown with the evil Ganon. Go for it. Finally, you've reached the last maze. The second room from the entrance level 9 contains a little old man. If you haven't assembled all the parts of the Triforce, he will not let you pass. This maze is the largest one yet and extremely intricate. Some rooms lead to shortcuts and some rooms lead to nowhere. So, to keep from getting lost, you had better make a map as you explore. They're going to make you do it yourself. So get out the grid paper. All you have to do is make a map and you'll be through level 9 in no time. So it looks like they are going to show you what Ganon looks like here. They've got the sprite art here, and not really many pages of coverage. So tips and tactics here, it's not complete. It doesn't show you absolutely everything, but it does give you a lot to go on here. And it does show you what the room where Zelda looks like, and it doesn't show you the actual ending screen though. It's interesting though, because as I look at this, I can kind of see that this top half here, maybe I can get it to show on the video. Probably won't though. I don't know if you can see a line about where my finger is, but this is where they put a little black box and kind of blanked out what you would have seen there. So it takes you through level 9, but without the detail. A course in advanced techniques. So using your boomerang, strategies for what to do when you go to a new screen, what to do in the labyrinths, what to do when your sword loses its beam, don't draw your sword recklessly, just some tips. And then the final page, Link's heads on to a new adventure. So this is art from Legend of Zelda 2 or Zelda 2 Adventure of Link. So they must have already been hinting at the sequel at the end of this guide here. Let's see if it says that. With the Triforce of Wisdom, our good hero Link has defeated the evil demon Ganon and rescued Princess Zelda. Thanks to Link's bravery, Ganon's scheme to rule the world in terror and darkness is demolished, and peace is restored to this fair land of Hyrule. Yet Link's battles do not end here. He takes up 2 pieces of the Triforce in his hand and sets off on another perilous journey. This time he is heading for a new destination, an unknown country. What kind of terrible hardships await him there? So I think this is hinting more at Zelda 2 Adventure of Link than the second quest of Zelda, because this guide does not even reference the second quest if you beat the game or if you enter your character's name as Zelda in the registration screen. So just kind of ends it there, and it says, "Have no fear. Go forward, brave Link. Onward to new journeys, to new battles. It's your destiny to endure these ordeals. Won't you go with Link on his next adventure? Come on, let's go. Aruko. Ganbatte o kudasai." So that is Legend of Zelda Tips and Tactics. I'm going to continue on with How to Win at Super Mario Brothers. take a look at this one. This one is the #1 bestseller in Japan, or was, and I think like Legend of Zelda Tips and Tactics, it was localized directly from the Japanese, so some of the text translations have a little bit of that charm to it. So it says, a complete strategy guide to the world's most popular video game. And on the back, we got Mario, printed in Japan, and then published by Tokuma Shoten. Must be a publisher in Japan. So let's take a look. On the left, we got good old Howard Phillips. Let's see what they have to say about him. Howard Phillips' official title at Nintendo of America is Product Analysis Manager. Most everyone else knows him as one of the premier video game experts in the country. Howard has a great deal of influence on which arcade hits will become Nintendo home video games, and sometimes vice versa. Yeah, he was the one who decided that the original Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan, the Lost Levels, was not coming over here to the United States because it was too difficult. And instead we got Doki Doki Panic localized as Super Mario Bros. 2. So it says, it was his idea to adapt Super Mario Bros. Into an arcade game and to publish this book for US players. Both efforts helped lead this exciting game to its overwhelming success. First a bestseller in Japan, the book's secret strategies, tips, and maps showed Japanese players how to master Super Mario Bros., instead of letting the game master them. This new English language edition is now available to US players for the first time. Recently, Howard helped Nintendo establish its Fun Club, a nationwide organization of video game lovers. As its president, he developed and oversees all the competitions, activities, and special offers that are open exclusively to Nintendo Fun Club members. And if you remember from my introduction to this playlist of videos, the Stuff and Things category of the Nintendo Fun Club newsletter is where I first became aware of, as a 7- and 8-year-old, that these books existed. And you could order them through the Nintendo Fun Club newsletter. So these are what you would get. So How to Win at Super Mario Bros., a complete strategy guide to the world's most popular video game. Got some neat art here. The original instruction manual for Super Mario Bros. Was not nearly as detailed as The Legend of Zelda. As a matter of fact, Legend of Zelda was full color. Super Mario Bros. Was just black and white. So seeing this, this concept art from Japan is kind of neat. So it says, the Super Mario Bros. In a land far beyond human imagination lies a magical place called the Mushroom Kingdom. The Mushroom Kingdom is always sunny, and food is plentiful year-round. The kingdom was ruled by a gentle and peace-loving Mushroom King and his daughter, Princess Toadstool, who in 1996, with Super Mario 64, would be relocalized everywhere as Princess Peach. The Mushroom people were living peacefully, and all was bliss. Then, one dark day, a tribe of evil turtles named Koopa, led by the tyrannical King Bowser, invaded the tranquil kingdom. There was a terrible war. It's interesting, you don't really think about war with a Mario game, but apparently there was a terrible war. The Mushroom people fought courageously, but they were no match for the vicious turtles. They were easily defeated by the turtle tribe, and horrible Bowser's black magic turned all the Mushroom people into stones, bricks, and even horsehair plants. I don't know what a horsehair plant is, but knowing that everybody was turned into a brick, that kind of makes sense. Hopefully everybody was turned back, because Mario does a lot of brick smashing in the game, so hopefully that's not the end of those people. But continues on here. Princess Toadstool, the only one with the power to free the kingdom from the evil power of Bowser, was captured and exiled to a deep dungeon in a faraway castle. Mario, a man of courage and determination, heard of the awful fate of the Mushroom people, and he decided to save the fair princess and free the citizens. Let's try it again. And free the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom from the evil control of Bowser. This is where the legend ends and the adventure begins. The fate of the beautiful princess and the Mushroom people is now in your hands, just like the NES controller. So starting here, Super Mario Bros. Save the Princess Strategy Book. So meet the characters and learn the basics. It's Chapter 1. Chapter 2 is Descriptions and Maps. And Chapter 3 is Secrets of Koopa, Another Quest. So it looks like this one does talk about the kind of second quest of Super Mario Bros. After you beat it. So it looks like we got a list of quick tips here and the pages within the guide where they're found. Quite a long list of quick tips there. Meet the characters, learn the basics. Here's the first and most important tip for conquering the worlds of Super Mario Bros. Know the enemy. Learn the diabolical personalities of all your opponents. Unlike most games, each enemy has a different attack pattern. You'll attain a high score only by judging your enemy accurately and adjusting your attack to its behavior. And that's actually one of the cool things about this game was the very beginning of, the different types of personalities. The red Koopa, they were a little bit smarter than the green Koopa. If they were on an elevated platform, they would pace back and forth and not fall off of it. The green ones, however, they would just fall off any platform they were on, including the ground. And if that meant falling right into a pit, well, they'd fall right into a pit. But the red ones, they knew better. They would turn around and change their course. So I think that's what they were referring to there. So here in this page, it looks like it's giving us an overview of all the things we're going to come across in the overworld and the underworld. And what's kind of neat about this is they're using actual sprites here. You can see they kind of a rough line there as they cut out these islands. They're calling these islands. I always called them trees. They look more like trees to me than islands, but that's all right. Kind of a rough cut right there, but they are actually using the actual sprites from the game here, so that's pretty cool. So moving on, the mystery of Mario's transformation. And here again they're using actual screenshots. You can see. Talking a little bit about his transformations with the power-ups, the power mushroom and the fire flower and the star man. Same thing for Luigi over here on the right hand side. Punching through blocks tells you the difference between the brick blocks and the question blocks. And how to use the controller, kind of like like you would find in the instruction manual. It says these buttons control Mario's speed and the height of his jump. Remember, however, that Mario can't stop immediately. A small controller error can send him into a bottomless pit. And that was another thing. It's such an innovative game as far as the control scheme was concerned. Such precise control for a game in 1985. I think that's one of the main reasons why it was such a bestseller, aside from all the secrets you could find. But just the play control was spot on. And I read somewhere that Shigeru Miyamoto was actually, when the game was in its early stages of development, he was pushing pretty hard for the up button on the D-pad to be jump instead of using the A button. But other developers thought that jumping was the main action, so it needed its own button. And that turned out to be the right decision. But when I first played Super Mario Brothers, that was my instinct. I was trying to get him to jump by pushing up, but it didn't work. But that holding B to run and hitting A at the same time to jump, that was an ingenious control scheme. So know your enemy. It looks like it's going through the different enemies here. It talks about points. Oh, the points. It was at this point, though, with like a game with Super Mario Brothers, where points really didn't matter. The points were just a convention that were kind of carried over from older arcade games, where that's really all you were shooting for was a high score. But this was one of the first games where the adventure was the reason to play, not necessarily the score. But they did keep a score, and these are the point values for attacking them. And you get different points for attacking them in different ways, which is actually quite advanced as well. So again, they're using actual screenshots here. You can see how those were cut out and kind of arranged on the page. So going through all the different all the different characters here and the types of amounts of points you would earn for defeating them in certain ways, ending with Bowser. So part 2 is descriptions and maps. Super Mario Bros. Is a highly complex, sophisticated, and challenging computer game. That to me kind of sounds like it was translated directly from Japanese. I like that charm there. There are many different characters, all with unique attack patterns. There are hidden surprises that give you the advantage, and warp zones that shoot you into other worlds. To conquer all the worlds, you need to learn many tricks and achieve a high level of skill. Here to help you are the fascinating secrets inside and inside tips on how to win. So attention, please read the following instructions before reading the detailed maps. Alright, we'll do that. Looks like we got a little bit of a legend down here, or a key. Now we're going to take you through the worlds of Super Mario Bros. But before we show you the 32 levels that make up the Mushroom Kingdom, we would like to give you some tips on how to read the maps. The maps are illustrations that give you an outline of each level. All the non-moving characters such as pipes, blocks, backdrops, plants, and clouds are shown. The illustrations give you the overall look of each level and help you get familiar with the obstacles. If you know the obstacles ahead of time, you'll get through each level more quickly. Next, take a look at the arrows below the illustrations. They indicate where the bad guys are and the type of enemy you are up against. This information should help you come up with a successful plan of attack. Our warnings are not always completely accurate. Well, that's nice. Depending on the method and manner of your attack, the enemy zone described under the maps may change. Be ready for surprises. Above and below the illustrations, you will find special comments and notations about hidden characters. It will be very useful to remember where the hidden surprises that give you the advantage are located. Also, the rotational direction of fire bars and movements of lifts are indicated. Use these guides to help you successfully negotiate difficult screens for the first couple of times. We have also provided some handy facts that can be used by beginners as well as by experts to help you improve your skill. Learn these 4 key points and rescue Princess Toadstool from the evil hands of Bowser. So this is our legend here, indicating where the coins, 1-ups, starmen, power characters like the mushroom or the fire flower, and the 10-block coin are. So if we take a look, World 1-1. They're getting away from the screenshots now, and these are actually illustrations, like it said. So you can see what they're talking about, how it gives you a rough idea. It's an illustration, and it gives you the path of the Goomba here, and again where other ones are, and then a little diagram of what's going on here. It tells you exactly what is in the blocks there, which is pretty cool. Very detailed. So it goes through this for every single level and every single world. I'm interested to see, yep, okay. They mentioned that for the fire bars that they told you the direction of it. So yeah, they've got arrows there depicting the direction of those fire bars. You can see Bowser is an illustration here. That's not pixels. And then the Princess Toadstool decoy. Kind of interesting the way that looks. So that's the bulk of this guide. We won't go through page by page because it's pretty much just the same thing. But we got illustrations. They tell you the path of the enemies, and then they give you detailed information about what's in the coin blocks. So this continues on through World 8. There's World 3, World 4, 5. Oh, this is interesting. Kind of gives you the path. Yeah, some of these bonus stages are hidden areas to get coins. It's kind of tricky to figure out how to get into them. So, and that's just a testament to the precision of the play control to be able to like maneuver your jump to get into a space like this. So that's neat that they tell you that. What do they have to say about piranha plants? Piranha plants and Bullet Bill behave in much the same manner. When Mario comes very close to either one of them, they will not attack. In areas infested with these bad guys, keep this in mind for making your plan of attack. Bullet Bill is harmless up close. It's safe to stand on the edge. What is in Mario's mind? Not sure what they're meaning here, but yeah, they're right. And that's just kind of like what I was talking about before with the red and the green Koopa Troopas is, you know, the way these things are programmed to behave was just, you know, really, really innovative for a game in 1985. So that's, again, one of the things that made Super Mario Bros. So great. A lot of thought went into it. And I read somewhere that Shigeru Miyamoto wanted to have even more than the 8 worlds that were here. So World 5, World 6, there's the Bowser telling you the Bowser level, and then they're telling you the direction that this platform above him is moving, and then the direction of the fire bars, which I think is pretty cool. I hear it's telling you about the fireworks. Score with the flagpole and fireworks. And full disclosure, it's confession time. I've been playing this game since I was 7 years old. I don't even know, what time on the clock you need to have in order to get the fireworks. But maybe this will clear that up for me. Let's see. Every time you clear an area, you are presented with a flagpole. The higher you jump, the higher you score. That I knew. The photo on the left shows Mario just before the flagpole. Instead of jumping on the flagpole from the ground, stay on the staircase and use the B button, /jump sequence to jump to the very top of the flagpole for 5,000 points. It's a safe and easy way to make points in a big way. When you enter the castle at the end of a level, fireworks go off. The number of fireworks varies from time to time, and sometimes there are none at all. The secret is this. When you clear an area and the time clock has a 1, 3, or 6 as the last digit, that number of fireworks goes off. Okay, 1, 3, 6. The lower photo shows an instance in which the player finished with a time of 2:16 and had 6 fireworks to celebrate. Alright, well now I know. Clock has to end in 1, 3, or 6. That's how you time your jump and hit the flagpole to get your fireworks for even more points, which don't really matter. This game's more about the adventure than the points, but it's still very satisfying when you hear your pa-toom, pa-toom, pa-toom fireworks after sliding down the fire pole. Or not the fire pole, the flagpole. World 7. Ah yes. Some of the Bowser stages, you have to go through them in a very specific way. Like right here, you could go above this platform or you could go below it. Here it's showing you that you have to go below it, and then in between, and then above. So actually in Super Mario All-Stars, the redone 16-bit versions, if you made this correctly, there would be a little ding, and if you went down here instead of in the middle, for example, it would go ah. So it would make it easier in Super Mario All-Stars. But in the original Super Mario Brothers, you just had to do trial and error and say, okay, the first time I went down, second time I went in the middle, and then the first time I went above, and it didn't work. So you got to go back and figure out what you did. It's a lot more challenging in the original game. So level 7 still, and then finally level 8. Here we go. Level 1 and level 2. 8-1, 8-2. 8-3 starts. This is where it gets tough with the Hammer Brothers and these. This is kind of cool here. You're kind of like outside the castle. These look like the turrets of a castle up top here, even though the illustration doesn't have those. It's like you're just outside the castle and you're about to go in level 8-4. And then again, level 8-4 has a specific path that you have to take, this time using pipes, not over and under platforms necessarily, but it tells you what pipes to take, so that's pretty nice. So it says, oh, yep, that's the end. It starts talking about the warp zone after that. Lets you know that the warp zones exist. This is the real Bowser. Use the tried and true technique to defeat him. Princess Toadstool, the real one, and they have a little bit of a different illustration for her than the decoys. But Princess Toadstool is held in this room. And then this page goes on to explain what the warp zones are all about and what they do. And then the final and shortest chapter is Chapter 3, Secrets of Koopa and Another Quest. Koopa's identity is finally revealed when you complete the game. You have conquered the entire kingdom all the way to World 8, Level 4. In addition to that, you are given a new mission to conquer yet another kingdom. We would like you to figure out the secrets for yourself, but if you just cannot wait, here it is. I think it's just that the enemies move faster. So here's the identity of Koopa. When you hit him with fireballs, in World 1 he turns into a Goomba. World 2? I don't see him at all there. Maybe he just disappears. World 4 turns into a Spiny. World 5, Lakitu. World 3, Buzzy Beetle. World 6, Blooper. And World 7, oh god, he turns into Hammer Brothers. And then World 8, he just flips over and goes into the lava. So if you get there with the fire flower, you'll be able to get past him a lot quicker or easier. Instead of having to go under him or above him, you can just shoot the fireballs and he'll turn into something. So here's that new quest I was talking about, where I think just the enemies move quicker. Let's see what it says. The story has come to an end, and Mario and Princess Toadstool are surrounded by a glowing light. The light spread, growing outward to envelop the entire Mushroom Kingdom and free all the creatures from the evil spell of Bowser. Finally, peace returns to the Mushroom Kingdom, and the faithful subjects are restored to their rightful places. But listen, Princess Toadstool is trying to tell Mario something. Thank you, Mario. Your courage has freed our kingdom, and your long journey is now over. To show our gratitude, we have prepared another quest for you. Mario, totally astounded, exclaims, I have to go on another journey? That's crazy. Dizzy with the news, Mario keels over. Well, that doesn't happen in the game, but that's what they're saying here. When Mario regains consciousness, he finds himself in another land. It's like the Mushroom Kingdom, yet different. Again, Mario must save the princess held captive in a castle far away. While the screen is on, you can use the B button to select the world you want to play. For now, take a look at what World 1 looks like. Although completely exhausted, Mario gets back on his feet. The first enemy approaches. Buzzy? Oh yeah, that's right. What's this? The first enemy is supposed to be Goomba. That's right. Let's get them all. But something is strange here. So yeah, a tougher enemy. I don't remember if there's no Goombas whatsoever in the second quest, but Buzzy Beetle replaces, I guess, most of them at least. Mario, don't take the world lightly. It's a totally different world, and your enemies are placed differently, too. Did Mario hear the princess's parting words? Maybe not, but you did. That's right, because they weren't said in the game. They're only being said here. Use this book as your guide to challenge the Underworld. To be continued. And yes, it was. It was continued in Super Mario Bros. 2. And then much later we would see what they got in Japan in the form of Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels. But then the last page is just credits. So these guides are super detailed. The Super Mario Brothers one is a little bit more detailed, and then it actually covers every single stage, whereas in this one for Zelda it doesn't talk about the details of the last two levels. But these were not essential, but they certainly made the exploration for the tough areas a lot easier. And that's what gaming's all about. You know, I don't consider using strategy guides as cheating. If it helps you make the game more fun for yourself, that's what it's all about. Gaming is supposed to be fun, with or without a guide. So stay tuned for the next video in the series, which will be about the Game Boy player's guides. And just like in the NES one, I'll include a link with that one after we go through the overview of all the guides, and I take an in-depth look at one or two of the guides from the Game Boy. There will be a link to a survey, and you will be able to vote on what guide you want me to take a more in-depth look at in the follow-up video to Game Boy player's guides. But even before that, I'm actually going to be revisiting my unboxed series of videos. And I'm not going to spoil it, even though you probably know what it's about. I'll tell you it's about a Nintendo product that Nintendo itself has recently gone on record saying it has been discontinued. So I'll be looking forward to unboxing all the iterations of that piece of hardware for you in my next playlist of unboxed videos. But until then, take care, thank you for watching, and if you don't see me, you'll hear me in the next one.